The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth. These are blatant lies. My question is, do you have no shame?
Congressman-elect George Santos gets destroyed by Tulsi Gabbard over the blatant lies he told on the campaign trail to get elected, on top of which he's being investigated for those same lies. And we're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Hyde. Welcome to Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. The show is brought to you by the Hide and Seek Media store. If you're like me and you like to spark a conversation or make a statement without having to say too much at all, click the link down below and check out all the cool merch I have to offer. And if you use code 1776 at checkout, I'll give you 20% off your entire order. So, Tulsi Gabbard is making news left and right nowadays. From eviscerating Kamala Harris and going after Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail, to renouncing the Democratic Party, changing her affiliation to independent, and now excoriating a congressman-elect in an interview on Tucker Carlson's show. So if you guys missed it, Tulsi Gabbard goes in on Congressman-elect George Santos for the lies that he told on the campaign trail to get himself elected.
Congressman-elect Santos, we've given you a lot of time. I think the time that is owed is to the people of New York's 3rd. It's hard to imagine how they could possibly trust your explanations when you're not really even willing to admit the depth of your deception to them. Thank you so much for being here and joining.
Now, amongst these lies were places he worked, where he went to school, and his religious background, right? Now, I'm not for electing liars, and I don't want any public official to be in office who has no problem spewing these kinds of lies just to get elected. Now, we all know we have a president at the moment who has the same problem. And we're going to talk about that too here in a little bit. But in general, politicians can't seem to tell the truth.
Now, permanent Washington has created a culture where it's acceptable to lie to further your own interests. Just try not to get caught. I should know. I served in Congress for 8 years. But even when these politicians do get caught, people just shrug their shoulders and move on. No big deal. No consequences. A few examples. Dick Blumenthal lied about his military service. And of course, Elizabeth Warren. She lied about having Native American heritage. So no one should be surprised that the American people don't trust these politicians. They've got no faith that those in Washington are actually working for the people when they're so clearly working for themselves.
Now, there are a few exceptions, right? You have people like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, all of these elected officials seem to want to get the truth out as much as possible. And so, while I respect that, we have to be mindful of the people we're electing into office to make sure that we don't put people like this charlatan, George Santos, into office. And how he got elected in a Democrat +8 district is beyond me. Nobody thought he was going to win.
Well, everything about Mr. Santos has been complicated. He managed to pull the wool over the eyes of an entire congressional district. I represented this district for 16 years, Pam. I chaired the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee for 4 of those years. I can tell you, Long Islanders, they will tolerate disagreement with their member of Congress. They will not tolerate dishonesty. And his dishonesty thrived in a climate of complacency. Nobody thought that this guy could win. The opposition research on him was there. The local media didn't pick it up because they thought it was a tree that fell in the forest. Well, guess what? By the time they picked it up, he won, and the tree is thunderous.
And yet, somehow, he pulled off the victory. That makes me question the election to begin with, because how does a Republican whose opposition research shows that a lot of these were lies, still win in a Democrat +8 district. That's in New York, of all places. That is very, very, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. So how he did that is amazing, right? But the fact that he did it on the back of lies is the problematic part here. And so I want to bring up a few articles. I'll show you a few clips. We're going to talk about the kind of effect this is going to have on the Republican Party moving forward. Because as you guys know, I am a America First proponent. And that is the direction I believe the Republican Party needs to be moving into is, America First. If we're not moving in that direction, then we're moving backwards, in my opinion. And so I want to take a look at some of these articles. We're going to talk about the direction of the Republican Party and why this matters, but why it doesn't matter as much as the media is making it out to be. Now, I don't condone what this guy did, and I don't even want to see him in office. As much as I want a Republican-led House, I don't want a guy like this who you can't trust in office, right? And his constituents can't trust him. The Republican Party can't trust him. We as a nation can't trust him. He should not take the oath on January 3rd. He should resign and face these allegations head on. And if he gets past it, then he can run again for Congress in 2 years. I don't think he should take the office with all of this looming over his head. But we're going to get into a couple of articles, and I want to talk about the direction the Republican Party is headed. So first I have this story up here from The Guardian. Do you have no shame? Tulsi Gabbard grills Congressman-elect George Santos. Adding to his woes, prosecutor in part of Santos's legislative district launching investigation into his nothing short of stunning claims. Republican Congressman-elect George Santos is under fire on multiple fronts, including in a blistering interview with Tulsi Gabbard and an investigation by Long Island prosecutors after admitting to lying about his heritage, education, and professional pedigree. Late Wednesday, Santos also faced questions on social media over contradictory tweets on the timing of his mother's death. One post on his account suggested she died in September 11th attacks in New York. Another said she died in 2016. The tweets appear to have been sent from his official Twitter account. Santos faced tough questioning in a Fox News interview on Tuesday with Gabbard, a former congresswoman and presidential candidate. In the interview, Santos claimed that he is not a fraud when asked about the recent revelations that his claims about his career and identity are riddled with lies and fabricated records. So, I want to pause here because he kind of defends himself a little bit in the interview by saying that he may have minced words or, played with semantics a little bit, but he's not a liar per se, right? And that to me, I have a problem with that because, now you're starting to get into the weeds that the corporate media likes to roll around in, right? Oh, we didn't say this, or we used these words instead of these words because we can always backtrack that or say we didn't say this. And it's, that to me is a problem.
I'm not a fraud. I'm not a fake. I didn't materialize from thin air. I worked damn hard to get where I got my entire life. Life wasn't easy. It didn't start off easy. As I've said it many, many times, I come from abject poverty. I made some mistakes, and I own up to them. And now I want to put this past me so I can deliver for the American people. We can debate my resume and how I worked with firms such as Goldman and Citigroup.
Is it debatable or is it just false?
No,
is
it's
it debatable
or
is it just
debatable.
false?
No, No, it's not false at all. It's debatable. I can sit down and explain to you what you can do in private equity, in capital intro, via servicing limited partners and general partners. And we can have this discussion that's going to go way above the American people's head. But that's not what I campaigned on. I campaigned on delivering results for the American people.
You know, using language as a weapon is a clear sign of, you know, an authoritarian fascist type government, and we don't need to get into those kind of, you know, politics or whatever. But, you know, one of the claims this guy said was that he was a proud American Jew, but that he practices the Catholic faith. He was raised Catholic. Okay, so this is where the English language has a problem, because now we have a word that describes a certain group of people and a religion. And it is my understanding that you can be Jewish without practicing the Jewish faith. Now, I may be wrong, and if I am, please correct me in the comments down below. But from what I understand, you can be Jewish and not practice the Jewish faith.
You said there in that letter that you are, quote, a proud American Jew. How do you explain that?
My heritage is Jewish. I've always identified as Jewish. I was raised a practicing Catholic. I think I've gone through this. Even I've not being raised a practicing Jew. I've always joked with friends and circles, even in the campaign, I'd say, guys, I'm Jewish. Remember, I was raised Catholic.
So, you know, like I said, again, he's mincing words, you know, he's parsing words here, and I really don't care for that. But he was doing it to get elected. So, you know, and especially in a Democrat-run area, you kind of have to do what you got to do to get people's attention. I get it. Lying is not the answer. That's just bad form and bad politics, in my opinion, right? But The Guardian goes on to say, the interview came the same day as fresh allegations that he falsely claimed a Jewish identity. On Wednesday, prosecutors on Long Island said they're looking into the situation, calling the fabrication and inconsistencies nothing short of stunning. The residents of Nassau County and other parts of the 3rd District must have an honest and accountable representative in Congress, the Nassau County District Attorney Ann T. Donnelly, a Republican. If a crime was committed in this county, we will prosecute it. Now, yes, you should prosecute it. And if there is a crime here, he should be charged and prosecuted for it. No, I have no problems with that. My issue is, what's the crime going to be? What are you going to get him on? Fraud? And was it intentional? You know, I don't know about that, you know, because like I said, he was doing what he thought he had to do to win an election. Now, I'm not excusing his actions, but it seems to me that throwing a guy in jail for trying to win an election seems kind of desperate, right? Maybe you're just trying to make an example of him at this point. I don't know. I don't agree with the lying, but I think, you know, I don't think he should be in jail either. I do think he should resign before he even takes the oath. He should resign, because the minute he takes the oath, there's going to be ethics committee investigations into him and all kinds of other congressional investigations.
To be sworn in on January 3rd, Kevin McCarthy cannot risk having one less Republican vote. He will be sworn in one of the most ironic moments on the floor of the House of Representatives. He will take his oath of office, and immediately after that, that will trigger investigations by the Congressional Ethics Committee and by the Office of Congressional Ethics.
He don't need that. He don't need a federal prosecutor jumping into him. He don't need, you know, congressional committees digging into him, especially if the lies he told were the lies that we know about are just on the surface, right? If there's more that he's hiding, then he ought to keep his mouth shut, apologize, resign, and, you know, call for a special election or whatever in that district to find somebody to replace him. But in my opinion, he should not take office. And the reason I say that is because he cannot be trustworthy.
The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth, being a person of integrity. And if I were one of those in New York's 3rd District right now that the election is over, and I'm finding out all of these lies that you've told, not just one little lie or one little embellishment, these are blatant lies. My question is, do you have no shame? Do you have no shame in the people who are now, you are asking to trust you to go and be their voice for them, their families, and their kids in Washington?
At this point, you cannot trust him, right? Those were not fabrications where it was like, oh, I'll just tweak this word here, or I'll just take that out and, change the date or whatever. These were flat out blatant lies. And that is a problem. Another problem I have is that the Democrats and the corporate media are just screaming for this guy to be, crucified and annihilated, and prosecuted for that matter. Yet none of them said the same thing about Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, or Joe Biden when we gave clear evidence that there were crimes being committed by these people. And we all know that Pinocchio is just as much of a liar as George Santos. And we all know, anyone who follows politics knows it. I found this story here from the Daily Wire. You think George Santos is a liar? Wait till you see who's in the White House. If you tune in to the news this week, you would think that Congressman-elect George Santos was the only liar to ever be elected to office. On Monday, he admitted that he embellished his education, his career, and even matters relating to his love life prior to winning this year's congressional election. In other words, Santos is a regular Joe Biden. Santos claimed that he graduated college. That never actually happened. During his first presidential run, Biden said he graduated in the top half of law school. That wasn't true, and not even impressive anyway. The 34-year-old Republican has said he worked for the Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. Now Santos is saying that he was never employed by the two financial firms directly. The 80-year-old Democrat has said that he was a truck driver, taught classes at the University of Pennsylvania, was appointed to the Naval Academy, got arrested in South Africa and during the Civil Rights Movement, and even traveled to war-torn Afghanistan to pin a silver star on a naval hero in dramatic fashion. There is zero evidence to suggest that any of those things happened. Worse, Biden and his team has admitted some of those remarks were untrue, only for Biden to repeat them again. And the article goes on. You can obviously head on over to Daily Wire and check out the rest of that article. But I just wanted to use that as an example, right? According to the Democrats and the corporate media, 81 million people voted in a liar for president. And they all knew he was a liar. This is not the first time Joe Biden has ran for president, and this is not the first time Joe Biden has been called out for lying. And yet, the man was vice president for 8 years and now has been president for 2. So all this hoopla about electing a liar is kind of ridiculous, right? If you elect a politician, 9 times out of 10, you're electing a liar. That's just the way it is in this country, unfortunately. And we need to change that. And that's why we need to be focused on what candidates are running, who these people are, and make sure that we are doing our due diligence to find out whether they are the right candidates to represent the people of this country. George Santos, as much as he probably wants to do good, I think he's a grifter. I think he figured out that he could use certain lies and phrases to manipulate people's emotions and get them to vote for him. And unfortunately, it worked. But when you use those tactics, a lot of times you're going to get caught. You're going to get called out on it, and you're going to get taken to the mat. And if you aren't willing and ready to stand by all of your statements with fervor and with evidence, then this avenue of approach is stupid. But politicians take it all the time. And we elect lying politicians all the time. And we have criminals in the Congress and in Senate right now. And we've had them in there before. And we'll have them in there again. That's the way this country is right now. And we need to fix it. And that's why I make these videos. That's why I bring you guys these kinds of stories and tell you guys this stuff, because we need to start fixing this stuff now. Because if we don't, it's going to be over in a few years. And there's nothing we'll be able to do about it. This country will devolve into a civil war. It will split apart, and you will have to pick a side. And there will be no middle ground. There will be no, oh, well, I kind of like them on this and I kind of like them on this. There will be none of that, right? You will either have Republicans or Democrats. There will be no independent lane anymore. There will be no middle ground lane for those people. You will have to choose, unfortunately, if we do not fix this now. The one thing that I did take from all of this, more so than anything else, was Tulsi Gabbard. I am becoming more and more impressed with this woman every time I see her. And you guys better be careful, because if she decides to run in 2024, there's not a person on a ticket that will beat her, including Trump. Not one. And if she keeps up this kind of stuff, it'll be a landslide. And it won't even be close. Because if Donald Trump doesn't stop talking about the 2020 election and start focusing on what he needs to do to fix this country and help this country get back on track, he's going to lose a lot of voters. I'm going to leave it there. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, I appreciate you guys watching. It really does mean a lot that you've made it this far. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. If you like this video and you like the channel, make sure to smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video, the channel, and the topic. I love to engage with my viewers, so feel free to fire away. But if you want to help support this channel, the best thing you can do is to hit that share button and share this video on all social media platforms. Those interactions alone will show YouTube's algorithm that my video needs more impressions, and that's how we're going to grow. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and I will catch you later. Peace.